Hello and welcome, fellow Paragoners. Today I have quite a treat for you. It is the new player primer, and not only that, we are going to go over some higher level strategy for both new and old players alike. I have a guest joining us too, who is a former Predecessor playtester and a competitive MOBA player. He's played games such as Heroes of Newerth, just to name one of many. And you are in for a treat. So without any further ado, let's begin with some foundational knowledge of Predecessor. First and foremost, the buff and timings of the buffs. Knowledge of this will give you an advantage over those who don't know. So the first buffs that spawn on the map are the red and blue buff at 1 minute 25 seconds. The red buff gives you a dot that deals damage over time and slows the target hit. So this is ideal for melee characters. And after the red and blue buff are killed, they take 4 minutes to respawn. The blue buff provides mana regen and cooldown reduction, which allows you to cycle through your abilities quicker. Both are key buffs in the jungle role. Next, river buffs, gold buff and scion buff. The river buff, 2 of them, are what the mid laners contest. Now, there are various river buffs, such as gray buff, which is a move speed buff, green buff, which is a shield, orange buff, which is attack speed, and purple river buff, which is for magic damage. The gold buff is in the duo lane, occupied by the carry and the support, and killing it provides bonus gold and experience. And the scion buff, which is in the solo lane, provides healing and experience. So these objectives are the lesser objectives that are pivotal throughout the match. Now we will move on to the larger objectives, which there are 2. The first is Fangtooth. Fangtooth, he spawns at 5 minutes and respawns every 6 minutes after getting killed. These timings are crucial as Fangtooth provides the buff that will empower your team the most over time. It's not the most outright strongest objective on the map, but it stacks upon itself. So killing 2 Fangtooths unlocks the second tier buff, killing 3 the third. Now, Fangtooth, the first tier buff is minor. Jungle and river buffs last 50% longer. Still impactful, but minor compared to the third. The second tier is flat out of combat move speed, which is great to traverse the map. A good buff, still arguably less impactful than the third buff. Now, the third buff is a permanent 6% increase to physical power and physical armor and magical power and magical armor. And then as you go to the 4th and 5th Fangtooth and you secure that, it just stacks more of that flat permanent bonus. Last but not least, we have the key objective in Predecessor, which is Orb Prime. Now you have a miniature Orb Prime that spawns at 7 minutes, and killing that gives you a temporary 20% damage boost, and also out of combat life and mana regen, and it also provides a minion buff so that the minions around you are empowered. At 20 minutes, so the difference between the 20-minute Orb Prime, the Mama Orb Prime, and the 7-minute Baby Orb Prime is that the 7-minute Baby Orb Prime only provides the buff to 1 character, while the 20-minute Mama Orb Prime provides the buff to the team. Even if they're across the map, they get it when your team secures. So those are the key timings and buffs that are throughout the map. 3 minutes river gold scion buffs spawn, 1 minute 25 red and blue buff spawns, 5 minutes Fangtooth spawns, and 7 minutes miniature orb prime spawns, and at 20 minutes Mama Orb Prime spawns. So now that we covered just the basics in terms of the buffs, and we have some kind of understanding there, we will move on to going over each position and the role in that lane. And this is where I would like to introduce our guest, EdoEasy. He is a phenomenal player. He has a lot of knowledge, and he will help illuminate what the game kind of unfolds in each role. So, Edo, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody?
Hey everybody, hey my fellow no names. Long time to not see you guys. I hope you guys are totally fine. And thanks for Jpie to inviting me. And let's talk about a little bit about Predecessor.
Oh
Are
yeah.
you ready, guys? Are you ready, Jpie?
Oh yeah. Let's get into it. So we are going to talk about each lane and role. We're going to provide who we feel are the strongest champions and just talk about how that role plays out during a match. So why don't we start with the mid lane? Edo, how about you kick us off? Who is the strongest in mid lane?
Okay, thank you, Jpie. You're already starting with the mid lane. And I can say you guys, my favorite pick is just already my favorite. Just the only thing, guys, what you guys don't control about Faye is just winning the lane. It's just sometimes it's getting really hard. You can just make the easiest play just starting with the right click. Right click means it's just the harvester nestles, just dealing damage on the creeps to push the lane and get the river buffs early to gank the other side. And then after you're getting your first and second item ready, the one item just get called Mega Chasm to deal damage over time. You can actually have a big impact in team fights. Why do you have a big impact, I was saying? Because of your ultimate. Just if you're using your ultimate, you're just dealing an AoE damage, just pulling enemy in and dealing damage and stuns them for around about 1.4 seconds. And in this time, you can just put your nestles in, put your abilities with your Q, with your E, and after you kill someone or just someone else on your teammates kill one, the passive is triggering. And what the passive is doing, just you're getting your right click again activated on the same place where the enemy died. And it's just giving you the option to deal on a short direction really huge damage. And this is the main reason why I really like Faye, because he's squishy. Yeah, you need to play on your position. Yeah, but if you know where you're standing and using everything at the right time, you can actually win the whole team fight by yourself. That's guys. I pick for you guys on the mid.
Yeah, I agree. I think Edo, you're on the money. The Faye she is in a tier of her own as a mid laner. And that's the key detail. She has arguably the strongest passive in the entire game. And just to achieve a takedown, she just has to assist. And then all of a sudden, she has this flower that grows and explodes for a lot of damage. And it's just a domino effect. Once one enemy hero goes down in the team fight, it's hard to keep track of them because they're just boom, 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 more and more. And then she just is a monster. 100% the number one mid lane hero at early access release. Now,
not easy to play. Not easy to play, guys, because like I said, it's squishy. Don't think you can go in and destroy everyone with Faye. Always be careful, because you are always a squishy hero. You are a mage. You have low HP. You have no armor. Probably you can go a little bit on health, but it's not helping if you're just dealing. You need to get the position. If you're having the position right and your team is ready to go in as well at the same time, Faye is a really, you can do nothing wrong, guys. Always be careful. Your position is key.
I agree. And what about an honorable mention at mid lane? If they don't like the Faye, who can they pick, Edo?
The second pick, I'm gonna pick the most favorite is Howitzer, guys. Oh, Howitzer?
Yeah, I like that pick too. He just has a really versatile kit. He has slow mines that work really well if you position them. He has the knock-up mine where he can separate himself from enemy pursuers. He can also traverse some parts of the map where other characters cannot just jump up. Like with a normal jump, he can set up his mine, jump, and then propel himself over a cliff or something like that, which is really nice because it rewards your knowledge of the layout of the map. And just as to kick his rocket a lot of damage, it's a lot of fun to hurl around, and his ultimate I agree. Those two are my top two, the Faye and Howie as well.
Yeah, Howie why I picked Howie. like you said, it's just dealing damage, guys. It's dealing a lot of damage. You can burst everyone probably down and then still come out with your mine. You can say, okay, guys, I'm done here. See you later, alligator.
And the one thing,
the same time, the same time, not even the mine. You can just use the ult to just get the high ground totally. You can just get places where you normally can get.
Yeah, Howie is one of the mages that has the best peel. So if somebody is on your carry and you position a good mine, you just basically saved your carry for a few seconds because you can basically knock them back and then slow them afterwards. So Howie, also a phenomenal pick. I personally also like him in the solo lane. But before we move on to the solo lane, let's move on to the duo lane, Edo. So the duo lane, let's start off with the carry role. Who is in Predecessor the top carry, the top dog? Who is it?
Okay, top dog is a Murdoch, guys. It's a freaking Murdoch. Why is freaking Murdoch the top tier? You guys meaning? Yeah, guys. Murdoch gets a little bit changes on Pred a little bit. I think the biggest change is right now the E. Just only the stim pack, but before we're talking about the E, why is Murdoch so good on the duo lane? Because it's just the only two things that's helpful for him, just the right click, the buckshot, and the second time the trap. Why the trap is so good and the buckshot so good? It's just pulling guys out of your position. And if you're getting closer, you're pushing him far more away. And this character is just helping you not on the early stage so much. It's a standard character. It's just dealing normal damage. But if you're starting to gank or mid game or late game, you can actually start peeling for yourself because it's just really helpful. Just put the trap on you. Put the trap on you. The enemy jungler's coming in. He's a melee hero. He wants to just go close to get you to deal damage, and you can just peel yourself out and or getting out of position to put the trap, walk around the trap, or just use the buckshot to push him into the trap and just run away. And then with the cool ability we're gonna get with the E, with the stim pack, just let's go drugs in, you're getting a movement speed buff, and at the same time you're getting immune about slows and the health.
Yeah, Murdoch is like a StarCraft Marine when he activates his stim pack. Oh, that's the stuff. And then you just go to town. And to Edo's point, it's absolutely true. In my experience, Murdoch is a monster, way more than the other carries. He is in a tier of his own, and it's because he is able to peel for himself, and not only peel for himself, but he is exceptional at peeling for himself. You guys are going to notice in the game, when you attack a Murdoch and an experienced Murdoch, what he's going to do is he's going to wail on you by the time you get up to his face. And he's going to already have that mine thrown right behind you. He's going to shotgun you back into the mine so you get rooted. And then he's going to get a few 3, 4, 5 hits on you already. And if you're not dead, you're close to it and you just got to run. And no other carry has that kind of 1v1 dominance. It's just not there for the other carries. With the other ones, they need team support way more than Murdoch. And just the icing on the cake, Murdoch's the only carry that can secure a kill from across the map. Which, if you're behind and you're in the laning phase and you're struggling, and you kill somebody who's on a roll, you're right back in it for what? For just casting your ultimate across the map. He's very good. He is heads and shoulders above the other carries. But Edo, we want to give the new players a secondary option. Who would you pick? Drongo or Sparrow?
I think you just pick a Sparrow. Sparrow, just like I always say, is a big glass cannon, guys. Sparrow have no escape, no ability to just stun and lock down. It's just pure damage, guys. If you want to deal damage, guys, you need to pick Sparrow. You need to just go into Sparrow, use your E, use your Q, use the attack speed, use the slow and damage over time, plus this passive is cheating damage as well, and then pop off the ulti and dealing a real burst damage to everyone on the on the radius. What are they called?
Yeah, it's like a cone.
Audios? Yeah,
Like
cone.
her ult makes it like a cone, and it's
And everything is in a cone. Okay. And everything is in a cone. You're dealing a lot of damage. And this is probably the only hero in the game right now just dealing for everyone on the cone damage. If you stick together 3 guys, 2 guys, and your team is supporting you, just disabling and stunning the enemies, you're just shredding everyone down. That's the only thing what Murder cannot do, because just Murder is dealing basically only of the auto attack damage, and you can only deal 1 guy in the same time damage. But Sparrow, if you're lucky, you can deal 5 guys in the same time, and you can shut everyone down in this moment. And this is probably the only strength what Sparrow have. And this is helping and making it probably better as Murder in the late game. But overall, if nobody's supporting Sparrow is just, like I said, a glass cannon. He's gonna die. Just a little blow with the 1 stun and he's gone.
Yeah, for me, I like Sparrow. I personally like Drongo too, but I think that Drongo arguably needs the most coordination, because if you look at his kit, he has some incredible tools. For those of you who may not know what I'm referring to, one of his abilities is he basically lobs a grenade that in an AoE radius silences. So you can imagine the synergy that he has with somebody like Richter or Gideon, but that kind of needs some very precise coordination to make the most out, the best use of, because otherwise, if you're by yourself as Drongo, you just throw the grenade and the enemy walks out of it in 2 seconds, and they can do anything. By the way, silence does not allow you to blink, which is why I think maybe with the highest level of coordination, maybe Drongo is the best, but that remains to be seen, and that's not going to be proven for a long time until we have some kind of high level coordinated play. Yeah. Now, Edo. Yeah. To close up the duo lane, who is your number 1 support pick?
My number 1 support pick, guys, it's probably the Decker, just because of the whole new kit they got. By the way, if you don't see the new kit on Decker right now, just I hope Jpie, can you make a ring on the top right? I don't know where we're aiming right now. Here somewhere, just put the video in, and I can a little bit explain a little bit the Decker's new abilities as well at the same time. The whole kit is just make the Decker just really a pure support hero. Just slows, it's just caging. We have crowd. You guys have a lot of crowd controls with Decker. With all those abilities, with the beam, it's slowing, dealing damage. At the same time, you can easily push waves with that, deal damage. You have your stun, the normal bubble you're just putting out. You have the cage, someone trap in, or just zone everyone out on the same place. You can just pull it out on the river, and nobody can just walk over it. You're just blocking the whole way with this cage. And if you don't want to deal damage in the same time, stunners, where you're getting a new ulti. If you stay on the center, you're just actually stunning them. If not, you're dealing damage and slowing them. You have just everything that Decker's making is crowd control. And this is one of the big things you're going to see in every game. Crowd control is king. That's why it's Decker for me the best pick. Because they have only crowd controls.
Yeah, Decker, in terms of fun factor, she is a joy to play. I have personally played her recently and with the new abilities, and it is really fun. When you hit that cage at the perfect moment and you just completely negate somebody's escape ability, it's very satisfying. Now I like your choice, Edo. Now, for my choice, I really want to say Muriel. I want to, because Muriel is she can sway the game quite a bit. That ulting in from across the map to save a key target, it is very impactful. However, as much as I want to say Muriel, I can't. I have to say my choice for the best support, Richter. I have to say Richter.
Before we go to Richter, Muriel, I think Muriel is really cool pick as well, but probably just it's changing the gaming for yourself, because Muriel is like a defensive support. You can actually play defensive because you have the shields, and you can actually hold longer the team fights with Muriel. I think that's the strange about Muriel, not being the guy just CCing. No, just actually hard supporting your team with your abilities. The whole team fight. I think that's a cool strange. That's why I can say, okay, Muriel is a reason pick as well, but it depends on game style you really like. If you want to say, okay, I want to play passive a little bit and want to support everyone in the team fight on my own team, it's probably Muriel is a better pick. Just always depends.
Yeah, and a lot of you guys, I can understand, like, what? You're going to pick Richter over Narbash? Are you out of your mind, Jpie? And I understand. I understand, and I will explain, because Narbash, he has the same strengths that he's always had, and his healing is also phenomenal. It's really good, especially in longer fights, because he just brings everybody back up so quickly. But he's also very, very squishy. And the reason why I pick Richter over him is because Richter is like the perfect counter to Narbash. It's super easy to pull Narbash because he's a big boy. And then just to lock him down and silence him, the team, every single time he gets hooked, he should get deleted instantly. And that's part of why I chose Richter, because you guys have, for those of you who know Richter, he's like this like robot jail warden, and he has a hook that he shoots out long, and if he hits somebody, it's like Pudge's hook from Dota. He hits somebody, pulls them close. Now, why this is so valuable, it all comes down to positioning, especially in the early game duo lane. If a Richter hits a hook on a carry, it's usually the usual result is either that the carry's blink is burned to save themselves. That's probably the worst case scenario. The best case scenario is everybody's blink in the lane gets used, and the carry that was pulled dies as a result. So that's like what will happen probably most of the time. And there's no other support that can yank people out of position and lock them down for 2 to 3 seconds. Nobody. And if you think as a support he's bad, that's not even Richter's best lane. So you guys will be skeptical, but just you wait until you encounter the monster that is Richter from the jungle or solo lane. Just you wait. So I think honorable mention goes to Narbash too, because he's the classic, and he's very strong all around, and he's very good. I don't want to downplay Narbash. He's still very, very good, and he's very strong, and he can perform exceptionally well. He's very good. He's very good. Now, let's move on to the solo lane, Edo. You know what? I'll kick us off in the solo lane, because I'm quite a fan of the solo lane, Edo, and I like to go. I like to go those obscure picks. If you guys ever see me play, you might see me pick up Howitzer in the solo lane, but I'm not going to recommend that to you guys because that's a little bit different.
Guys, if you're asking me right now, I'm probably playing more the safer way, but let's wait a second.
Yeah. Now there's a lot of good picks. A lot of good picks in the solo lane, right? You got Severog, you got Steel, but my pick is Fang Mao. Fang Mao, for me, he is the number one because he is a force. He has his moments, but with Fang Mao, if you're farming even moderately well, you have the potential to really dominate team fights. You have a lot of potential to do that, and because not only that, the way that his ultimate works, you can just ultimate execute somebody, blink, fight, execute, and really he has the potential to just pentakill. If you're doing well enough, you can. But Edo, what would your number one pick for solo lane be?
Yeah, my pick for solo lane is the Severog, guys. Not only just it's a really big tank, just because just a massive CC here with this E, with this ulti. And in the solo lane, you can just actually farm your souls. How you farm souls, you're asking? After you're using or killing a minion or just anyone else, just minion, jungle, heroes, if you're killing with the ability, you're getting stacks. And for this stacks, you're getting health. And for this health, you can just actually, first of all, stay longer on the laning phase and fit the same time or what is intended or just intended role for Severog. Because it's most of the time you're gonna playing as a tank. And he's a monster as a tank because he's getting the whole stacks. And at the same time, just with the high CC, just pull someone out with the ulti, and at the same time, just root guys, and just always can be followed with this right click. And that's making Severog as a really cool solo pick, but not because it just probably he's gonna be lose the solo mid because just he's starting weak because he's not getting the you have not immediately the passives on. But if you stay long on the game, just prepare yourself, farm and stacks, and with the right itemization, Severog is a really beast. You can just be a one-man army, just go in everyone in, punch them everyone out, scare them down, guys. You're gonna be a monster if you go Severog and get the right farm and the right items.
Yeah, so for those of you who may not know, Severog, he was a jungler back in Paragon days. In Predecessor, he is not a jungler. You do not want to pick Severog in the jungle. It is a big mistake. You want him in the solo lane because of his soul stacking mechanic, as Edo mentioned, and that's where he shines. At the early game, he's very weak, but if you're in the solo lane, you have a lot of minions coming in that you can stack for that passive. And for those of you who may not know, Severog, his Q, which is it deals damage in a cone in front of him. If you last hit minions, you suck their soul, and it gives you additional health and damage, I believe. So with that, in the early game, it's weaker. But like Edo said, the longer the game goes on, the more souls you stack, the more of a force Severog becomes. And he becomes a force of nature. And he is, as a tank, he's everything you ever want in a tank. He is very quick with his dash. He has a root in his subjugate. In his ultimate, he can get behind the enemy team and knock them towards his own team. And then just the sheer damage from the Q late game, it's a nice chunk of damage, and it's on such a small cooldown. I agree. Severog might be one of the highest level solo laners, but Edo, that's a very difficult character to play properly. Why don't we?
It's not so easy sometimes.
Yeah. Let's recommend a character to newer players that they can perform well in the solo lane. Who do you think fits the bill there?
I think the best fit build just playing Steel, guys. Steel is just, for me, most of the easiest characters on the solo lane, just because you have the abilities to dash, to CC yourself with the right click, and be played safely to just put the shield down and get no damage in this way. It's really cool, just really simple. You don't need to be high mechanically, but it's probably the most simple hero you can actually play in solo and stay alive on the solo lane, because you can actually deal damage with the stun, like I said, and have full control about the laning, and always be safe on the charge out. You can charge in, charge out, and with the ulti CC, you have at the same time the high potential on teamfights as well, because you're a CC machine like Decker. It's core control, like I said before, is king, and Steel is pretty easy to play, and with the high CCs, you can just go tanky as well and just be not like Severog, be a monster in the fights, but still have a really high tanky potential because of the passive, and with all the abilities. I think Steel fits pretty well in. If someone just really don't want to play Severog.
Yeah, I like that pick too. I was going to recommend either Richter or Steel, and Steel, Richter is his hook just takes quite a bit of practice, so I'm not going to pick him. For the newer player, I same as Edo. I recommend Steel, and part of it is because if you have a solo laner that has 5% HP, and one of them is Steel, and then say another is, Feng Mao, chances are Steel is going to be more effective at such low HP, right? He's just going to shield dash, knock people up. He's going to shield bash, stun them, slow them, and you out of that little bit of HP, you get a huge impact on that exact fight. Whereas Feng Mao, his life is on a thread, and he just takes a little bit of damage and he's erased. And he didn't really do that much. And Steel always has that potential to be effective, especially when we I don't know if we mentioned this, Edo, but his shield. He has a shield where he throws down and it blocks auto attacks and abilities, and this is hugely impactful. You can deny creeps the enemy from securing creep kills during the laning phase. You could do that with the shield. Orb Prime Fangtooth, you throw up the shield and prevent the enemy carry from shooting it from far away. He's
very wise. He's very wise. He can just use the shield on so many levels, guys. You can, like Jpie said, the shield is just be a part on Steel. You cannot play or have a Steel without shield. And the shield, if you don't use it well, you're getting a really max value of it.
Yeah.
You can just win the team fights with a good shield.
Oh yeah, and just, we're not going to get into itemization this video, although we would love to, but just a little hint for those of you who might be Steel fanatics. There's an item called Dynamo that seems to be designed and hand tailored to Steel, and when he gets it, he just is a force of nature. You once he gets that, you just got to watch out for him. You have to respect him, because he's gonna tear you up. So I think Steel is like the best, for
the beginners, a really good beginners pick.
Yeah,
it's easy to play, and same of all, you're dealing a lot of impact.
And he's a lot of fun to play too. And there's that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And so, guys, now moving on to jungle, I have a lot to say about jungle, and it's not quite what I initially expected. For those of you who might be jungle mains and have played jungle in Paragon, what I noticed is in the early and mid game, I was very influential and impactful, and I would kind of fall off near the end game. Now, I didn't play what I would argue are the strongest junglers. I was trying to make a jungler like Crunch work, and I never really quite found my rhythm with him. However, jungle has a very different rhythm in Predecessor, and even though that's my main role, I'm still figuring it out. And I think you guys will notice what I mean. And if I had to make recommendations on which junglers to pick, I would definitely recommend auto attack oriented junglers. I think they are on a higher level than others. For example, your Kalari, your Grux, your Chimera. But that's not to say other junglers aren't superb. They absolutely are. But if I had to pick number one jungler, again, it'd be Richter. It'd just be Richter, just because of him landing a hook means a blink is being burned. That means for the next 5 minutes, that lane is under high pressure, and all the Richter has to do is just wait the 20 seconds for the hook to come back and visit again, and then he's got a kill. You will see Richter one tricks that will utterly dominate matches, because he is so strong. He's not the Richter that you knew in Paragon. Oh no. He is a monster. Edo, who would you pick for jungle? What are your jungle picks?
My preferred jungle picks, I don't like the jungle, as I said. It's probably Grax and Rampage. That's probably the most favorite picks I'm gonna make. But I think if you say, what's the best pick for you, it's probably Rampage. Just be a huge guy throwing rocks from nowhere, CC people, be a really tanky guy, and have a lot of health rate, because you're still most of the time in the jungle with the passive. Just help you a lot. Be a really tanky and aggressive guy to have CC and tanking damage in the same time. It's really awesome.
Yeah,
I think that's probably my best pick. Yeah.
Good choices. Yeah. For newer players, I would highly recommend Rampage because just he's fun to play. Throwing rocks at enemies and stunning them and hearing that rock connect is great. And also his ultimate makes him really, really tanky, which gives you a little bit of leeway if you overextend. I agree. For newer players, definitely try out Rampage. And then if you're feeling up to it, you know, pick and choose whatever you wish. And just to touch upon jungle, you know, there's with the buffs, some junglers have a very strong advantage. For example, Chimera early on, if you're ever up against a Chimera in the jungle, you should always anticipate he's going to try to sneakily take Fangtooth or Mini or Prime. He's going to be sneaky about it because he could solo it. So you have to, as an enemy jungler, you got to at least have one of them warded and eyes on the other, because if you're not careful, he will just take that buff for free from underneath your nose, and you're going to end up punishing, your team is going to end up getting punished as a result. But jungle is a lot of fun. I'm still learning, and I'm sure in a few months' time I'll have a much more refined opinion about these sorts of things. So with that said, that was a brief overview of just the foundational knowledge of what you should know going into Predecessor. We go into our recommendations for each of the lanes and roles. We make some honorable mentions and whatnot. In the future, we may go over more itemization or some other things. So, but with that said, you know, what do you, why don't you share with everybody your socials and help close us out?
Okay, good. No problem, guys. If you want to see me live on Twitch, just search on EdoEasy. Immediately find high-level gameplay. Sometimes, yeah, sometimes not, but most of the time you're going to see high-level gameplay. And still YouTube little bit, guys. If you want to use YouTube, probably you can just put every link on down below. And guys, please, if you enjoy this video and you want to see a little bit more, just press the like button, leave a comment, and don't forget to press the bell. Just hit it. Just every time get noticed if the video comes out.
Yeah, but everybody, please follow EdoEasy. Watch him on Twitch, and if you guys like the video and you're interested in more Predecessor content, please consider subscribing and following the channel. There's plenty more in the pipeline for you coming soon. Everybody, thanks for watching and tuning in, and until next time, fight on, friends.